Hello everyone. Welcome to this JavaScript interview series. In this interview series, we will cover all the theoretical questions as well as practical questions aspect of the interview. And by end of the series, you will learn solid understanding about JavaScript, and also you will be confidently crack the interview related JavaScript. So in this section, we will cover theoretical and practical. In this video, we will cover theoretical questions. So let us move further. And the first question is, what is JavaScript? So why use JavaScript? So JavaScript is a runtime programming language, compile time or interpreted. So the JavaScript is interpreted programming language that designed creating dynamic and interactive web pages. And also JavaScript used as a front end and as a back end, as a server side with Node.js, and as a client side you see that React.js, Vue.js, Angular, Svelte, there are framework based on JavaScript. So what are the key features of JavaScript that are you using? So JavaScript provide first class function that functions be assigned to variable pass as argument and return from the functions. And also JavaScript is synchronized, but we achieve asynchronous programming language also because it supports callbacks, promises, async, await syntax. And also JavaScript handle events such as mouse click, keyboard input, and network request. We already this part discussed in previous sections. And what are the difference between null and undefined? So null represent intentional absence of any value, while undefined represent uninitialized variable. So null is a value while undefined is type of the value. And after that, what is the difference double equal to and triple equal to? So when we use double equal to, so that they check the value only, but when we use triple equal to, then it check value as well as data types. So what is the closures in JavaScript? So closure is combination of functions and their lexical environment within which that function was declared. So closures allow function to maintain access variable from their outer scope. So closure we already discussed in previous section. So if you have some doubt regarding closure, so please go through that part and revise again. And what is the difference between let, const and var? So let, const and var is a JavaScript is their scoping behavior. Where function scope. So where is a global scope, and let and const are block scope, meaning they are limited to the scope of the block which they are defined, such as loop, conditions, if else. That means var variable are accessible anywhere without these global functions, and let and const only accessible within this block. And after that, what is the different data types in JavaScript? So there are numbers, string, null, undefined, symbol, boolean, and big int, float. After that, what is the purpose of this keyword in JavaScript? So this keyword refer to the object that executing the current function or method. So it allows to object property and method within the context of the object. So in previous sections we covered classes in JavaScript. So that are we discussed this keyword. So that where we discussed this keyword more about. And after, what is the difference between where and let keyword in JavaScript? So where keyword declare global variable. We discussed that, which means that variable can be accessed from anywhere in the code. But let keyword declare a local scope. That means block scope. So it can access within this block of code where it declare. So where we use inside if we use let keyword, so it is accessible within this if block. And what are the higher order functions in JavaScript? So higher order functions that accept other function as an argument or return functions as their result. So they enable powerful functional programming pattern in JavaScript. And what are the difference between function declaration and function expression? So there are different type of declaration functions. So function declarations are functions keyword. When we use function keyword, so that means the type of function declaration. And while function expression by assigning a function to a variable, when we use const a is equal to function this and that, so that are the function expression. And when we use directly keyword functions, that are the function declaration. And function declaration are hoisted while function expression are not. And why this hoisted we discussed in previous videos. What are the different type of error in JavaScript? So there are some common error. So syntax error. This error occur when JavaScript code is not syntax correctly. And runtime error. So this error occur when JavaScript code is executed and there is a problem. And also there are logical error. This error occur when JavaScript code does not do what is supposed to do. And after, what is the callback function in JavaScript? So in previous section asynchronous JavaScript, we will discuss more about callback. So callback function is a function passed as an argument to another functions and which is invoked inside the outer function. It allow to asynchronous or event driven programming. And what are the promises in JavaScript? So promises are object used for asynchronous operation. They represent to eventual completion or failure of the asynchronous operation, and it allow to chaining and handling of success or error cases. So it is better than callbacks. And what is the difference between synchronized and asynchronous programming? So synchronous programming, this program execute sequentially each statement block of the execution until it be completed. And asynchronous programming, multiple tasks can be executed concurrently, simultaneously. And this program does not wait for the task to finish before moving to the next one. And how do you handle error in JavaScript? So JavaScript provide try catch block. So using this try block container code that may throw an error, and the catch block handle the error and provides alternative execution path. So within use try catch block we achieve handle error, we handle the error. What are arrow functions in JavaScript? So arrow functions are concising syntax for writing JavaScript functions. They have more compact syntax compared to the traditional function expression or declaration and inherit this value from their surrounding scope. We already discussed arrow function in brief video. And what is the purpose of set timeout functions in JavaScript? So set timeout function used to delay the execution of the function or the evaluation of an expression after a specific amount of time in millisecond. So set timeout is already discussed in asynchronous JavaScript briefly, and how set timeout works behind the scene, how set timeout goes into callback queue and that. And how can you prevent the default behavior of an event in JavaScript? So you can use prevent default method for event object within an event handler to prevent the default behavior associated with this event. So when we create some form and try to submit, so that time our page is reload. So when we use prevent default, so that prevent default stop to the reload the page. And how can you convert a string to lowercase in JavaScript? So there are JavaScript has different method to lowercase That method converts string to lowercase. There are camel case, uppercase. So in next video, we will discuss practical question on JavaScript that are most important, and every time of the interview that questions is asked by the interviewer. Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we will discuss about practical questions of JavaScript, and this video is most important aspect of the interview because these questions are highly asked by the interviewer in each and every interview. So make sure you focus well, understand, and also I provide all resources into the description. So make sure you focus and understand. So first of all, let us attach this file inside here using script tag and pass the interview series 1 practical video 1.js, and here use defer keyword, and now run the HTML file. So we will discuss all the questions with reasons, and also this question is highly asked in each and every interview. And side by side open our code editor, and also here we do not need any HTML file. So the first question is, what is the type of NaN? And NaN is not a number. So you can see that NaN is numbers because NaN is not a number and type of NaN is numbers. And after that, creating set with unique value. So you can see that what is the output. So set gives unique values, so what is the output, you can predict it. So inside that we put 1 1 2 3, and after I save, and you can see the output that our duplicate value is removed. And what is the output? 1 2 and 3. And after that, let us go to the third questions. Inside that, the first array is empty array, and also the second array is empty array. And here is the console. First array double equal to second array, and after that first array triple equal to second array. So you can see that it gives false value. Why false value? Because here this array is stored as a reference. Stored as a reference. So let's say reference. Let's say first array address is, let's say, 11, and the second array is address is, let's say, 12. So here what are doing, we compare their addresses. So that's why here gives false value, because here we do not compare any values, here compared by the addresses. So obviously two different array has two different address. And after that, let us move to the another questions. Declare two empty array and checking if are equal in value on type. So here is also the same reason, because they stored, here we compared array addresses. Here let's say reason, we compare array addresses. So that's why, and address are not the same for different arrays. So that's why this gives false. And after that, you can see that now let us predict this output. Here is two array, and what is the output? Here you can see that true value, because here we compare to the value, because array 0 index is equal to 20 and new array 0 is equal to also 20. and you can see that here we compare to the value, and in previous we compare addresses, so that's why it gives false and currently it gives true value. So let us comment out this also and move to the another questions. Declare two empty array and check if they are equal value and type. So here is also the same questions, so let us first of all remove these questions and let us move to further. Here let us predict the output. You can see that here we use destructure method. So here we use spread operator and it gives individual element of the array. So you can see that it gives individual elements. So it call spread operator to individual element of array. We discussed in previous video about spread operators. And after that, let us move further. 8 questions. Here you can see that let us you can see that uncode type error. Text is not a functions because we do not here use any function keyword. Here is the variable let is variable and declare with string and give string. So you can see that obviously this gives type error, and when we write only text then it gives output. So so for ninth questions, let us remove the comments, and here empty value with object false and null. So that means we use here or operator and try to first truthy value. So let us save, and you can see the output, it gives empty object. So here empty object is also count into truthy values. So that's why it fetch empty objects. So here fetch first truthy values because we do here pipe symbol, that means or operator. And let us move for the another questions. So here find the truthy values, and let's say save, and you can see that here does not print it. Why? Because inside false value we did not declare any truthy values, because false is also falsy values, null and empty string. Let's say we give here empty object, so it prints empty object, you can see that, but inside all are the falsy values, that's why nothing is printed. So here all are falsy values, that's why nothing console. And after that here use also with empty array 0 and true. So let us save, and you can see that it fetch the first truthy values, and here what is the truthy values? True and empty array. But which is the first occur? Empty array is the first occurrence, so that's why empty array is printed. And let's say we add here true, so you can see the changes, it gives first two three values, that means true. Let us add here js, so it prints js because this string denote is also inside two three values, so that's why empty array is first occur before true, so that's why it gives empty array. And after that let us comment out this code, and you can see that here output is 20 because this negative and this negative convert into positive, and that's why it gives 20 output. And also let us give some 20, and now you can see the output is 0. and let us add one another minus, so you can see the output. So that's why negative negative gives positive values. And the 13th question is, let's say here we have object, and inside object we have name and Aniket value, and let's say delete object dot name. So after that, here you can see that it gives true value. That means object is deleted. And let's say here add age. So here you can see that age is not present inside object, but also it gives true value, because let's say here console object, and now you can see that here age is not present, but when we use age 21, then you can see that age is also deleted. And let's say here add name. So here also it gives empty object, because there are only one key and value, and which is we deleted. So if we want to delete entire object, then we use directly object name with the delete keyword. Let us save. Why this is not deleted? So another questions, here we try to delete whole object. So what is the output? Let us save, and you can see that false. Why false? Because we cannot delete whole object. We only delete that keys and values. So that's why it gives false. And here using array destructor extract element. So we discussed in arrays video. Let us predict the output. So here const name is equal to two values, Aniket and Jai. And inside we want to fetch the first value, that means inside the array. So when we try to console, so it fetch Aniket. And also here let us give second, and let's say print second, so it prints Jai also. So here how array destructuring and extract the element. So using array destructor, if we want to fetch the second element directly, so here we use comma and directly fetch the second element. So that's why it prints Jai. And let us move to the another. Here is, let us first of all remove the comments, and here we give person as an object and with the name and Aniket. And here we destructure the objects and fetch the name, and we change the variable name to the personal name. And after that, let us, you can see that it gives first of all Aniket person name, and after that person, and inside that we give the key. So what is the key? Key is name, so that why it gives Aniket. And also if we use here person name, so it gives error, because undefined, because we cannot directly change this variable name. So that's why we use destructuring to extract the properties and give according to name. And after that, first object is my name and the second object is city. So here inside first object we use spread operator, first object and second object. And after that, let us console first object. So you can see that it gives name Aniket and city Ahmedabad. So here is the way how we can concat using spread operator. And after that, here you can see that first person Aniket and inside second person Ahmedabad. So here first person, and after that we destructure the second person using spread operator. So inside first person you can see that the whole first person it gives name Aniket, and here we use destructuring, so it gives only city and Ahmedabad value. And when we here use triple dot, then you can see that it gives name Aniket and city Ahmedabad. So here merge first person and second person, and after that let us use another third object and fourth object. So here now you can predict the output, and you can see the name is Jai and city is Ahmedabad. Why this? Because here you can see that their key are same with the two name. So that's why whichever is the latest key, it will printed. You can see that Jai is printed and city is Ahmedabad. And let us here give Aniket here and Jai. So you can predict the output. Whichever is latest key, that will be printed. So you can see that name Aniket, and after that city. So after that here is the topic of hosting, and it gives cannot access my name before initialization, because we use here late keyword, and let us comment out this late keyword. So it gives also same error, so it will gives value because this function is try to fetch from their lexical environment or the outer scope, so that's why it gives value. And after that let us use this type of, and now you can see the output it gives Aniket, because from their outer scope it return the Aniket value. And here is the arrow functions using ternary operator. So inside these functions a, and here we give 10 as a value. So this 10 is goes to the a, and after that Panchal printed. Let us give here 20. So you can see that 20 and Panchal. After these arrow functions, we call these arrow functions immediately. And after that, here the add number xyz, and inside answer we provide array with spread operator. So you predict the output, it gives 6 output. Why? Because inside array we use spread operator. So that's why it spread the all elements. So x become 1, y become 2, and z become 3. And inside that let us here name Aniket, and what is the someone. So here you can see that type of some name, so it gives false. Why? Let's say because here console type of some name, so you can see the output it gives string. And when we use here exclamatory, so it gives false value. That means it gives false value, and false is compared to the objects, so that's why it gives a false value. And also it gives false. Why? Because this operations gives a false value, and false compared to the string, so that's why it gives false value. And let's say here we use false, then it also gives false value because it string. And now you can see that now it is give true value. Why? Because this part is give a false value, and false compared to the false with the data types and value, so that's why it gives true value. And after that, the last question is using promises. So you can see that here promises with the fulfilled, and why fulfilled? Because promise is resolved, so that means it gives fulfill 5. And when we use reject, then you can see the output, it go to the reject mode and give unquote in promises 5. So when we use resolve, so that means it gives fulfilled condition, fulfilled. You can see that. So here are the some questions, and in next video we will discuss more about on this type of questions. And if you have some doubt, or if you couldn't understand at any questions, then let me know. So we will meet in next videos. Hello everyone. In this video we will continue code output based questions. This type of questions is most important and frequently asked by the interviewer. So for that, let us attach here second file. In previous video we discussed 26 questions, and also in this video we will continue about that. And let's say here use p2, and after that run inside browser html file, and then side by side open our code editor. So in previous video, if you have some doubt or any issue regarding understanding, then let me know. So here let us first question is removing the first element of array. So we use shift method. So when we use shift method, they remove from the first, and when we use pop method, then they remove last element. So here first of all reason shift method remove from the first element, and when we use pop method, let's say pop, then remove last element. So first of all let us console and check the output. So it gives 2, 3 and 4. And after that, the second one is we already discussed how to delete key value. So you can see that after deleting key, you can see that it will be empty objects. And after that, converting string to a boolean. So for that, let us predict the output. So for that, what is output? So you can see that here a is a string, this is the string, so string. And what is the type of string? We discussed that type of string, it gives here true value, so it gives true value. And what is the opposite of true? So then here it gives false value, so this bracket gives false value. And what is the type of false? So it types boolean. So let us save, and you can see that it gives boolean. Why? Because a is string. So what is the type of string? String is type of give true value or false value. So string has true, so that means it gives true value. And opposite of true, it gives false. And what is the false? False data type is boolean data types, so that's why it gives boolean. So these are frequently asked by the interviewer. And after that, let us here discuss more about that. Here we give true value, so a is not a boolean, but you can see that, let's say console type of a, so you can see that it is string. So what is type of string? So type of string is give true value. And after that we opposite that, so true to opposite false. And after that once again opposite, so true false to true. So you can see that, let's say a is string and type of string is equal to true, because string is not a empty, so that's why it gives true value. And opposite of true, it gives false, and false opposite true, so that's why it gives true value. In this fifth questions, here one array 1 2 and 3, and we use map method, higher order functions. So here each item multiply by 2, and after that for each result you can see that here is the empty array, and array dot for each, and here item for each push item into 2. So first of all, let us check the map result. So what is the map result? So map gives 2 for 6, because you can see that here which each element it multiply by 2, so that's why it gives 2 for and 6. And after that, let us console for each loop, for each method. So you can see that it is also give 2 4 and 6. Why? Because here this arrays for each method, here we iterate through all elements, and also here item into 2, so multiply by 2 and store into for each results, you can see that. Here let's say write multiply by 2 and store into for each result array, you can see that. So here map result give is new array, but when we use for each, that means that does not return anything, so that why we need to store into another array. After that, deleting element from an array. So here we give index a of 1. So let's say console, so you can see that it is deleting element, but there are already empty space. And also after deleting, let's say we want to add a1 is equal to 12, then you can see that it is replaced, but it will deleted, but it is also empty space. It will deleted, but cannot reduce the length of the array. And after that, after deleting, you can see that it will also give for length, because it does not reduce the array length. There are also empty, let's say console type of a of 1, then you can see that it will give undefined. Why? Because let's say console a, so you can see that here is the empty, and empty is undefined, so that it will does not reduce the total length of array. So after that, let us move further. Merge to array. So when we use spread operator, so it will spread all elements. So here it will spread all A's element, and after that B's element, so you can see that it will give new array 1 to 8. Merge to array with duplicate element. So after that, let's say here are duplicate elements 2 3 and 2 and 3 are duplicate elements. So let's say console, and you can see that the first array spread is A. So A is 1 2 3 and 4. You can see that this 4 element from A, and these are the from B. Here duplicate is shown because this is array, not a set. After that, let us here use set timeout. So you can see that console A, and after initialize with 0 seconds. So let us first of all save, and you can see that it will give 200. Why 200? Because set timeout function is asynchronous and waits until the call stack is empty before execution at the callback functions. So therefore, it logs the value A after it has been updated to 200. So here, when we use set timeout, so that goes to callback queue, and for that time A updated 100 to 200. So that's why it gives 200. But when we comment out, now you can see that it will print only 100. So it will take 0 seconds, but after that also that will be updated as value because set timeout takes into callback queue. So let's say here we can understand that flow. So when A is 100, after that timeout goes into callback queue, and for that after A become 200, and when event loop occurring and set timeout goes into global stack, so that time A value is updated, so that's why 200 is printed. And after that, let us move further. A is 13, B is equal to 12. Now you can see that it will true because here we use pre-decrement. So that's why A's value become 12 and 12 compared to the 12 with the triple equal to. That means data type with the value. So that's why it gives true value. So here chaining equality operations. Now you can see that it will give false. Why? Because A triple equal to B. Here it gives true value. This type, this A triple equal to B, it gives true value. And when true compared to the minus minus C, so C is equal to 1, and here it gives this gives true, and true compare with the numbers, so that's why it gives false value. So you can see that here, let's say console A triple equal to B. Now you can see the output, it gives true value. So when we compare to true to any number, so that's why it gives false. Here let's say write reason A triple equal to B gives true value, and to compare with C minus minus C, that means that become 1. So that's why give false. After that, logging the platform of the browsers. So let's say console, you can see that it will give win32. So here navigator.platform property return the platform of the browser running the code. So you can also check in your browsers that calling the function before it's defined. So we already discussed in previous sections, it gives hello because this type of function is hoisted, and at the creation phase all functions sitting inside the code creation phase. So that's why it console hello. After that, let us comment out this code, and you can see the output. The first gives false, it's 97. So let us end this code, and now you can see that it will give 0, 1, 2 and 3. So set timeout function create a closures that capture the value of I at the time of the function is called. So since block scope, each iteration of the loop create a new variable I. So here set timeout is closure, and for each time create new copy. So that's why it's from block scope. So that's why I has own value. So that's why 0, 1, 2, 3 for printed. After 16th, let us data is equal to size, bird is equal to size small. And now you can predict the output small. Why? Because bird, and then we pass the data. So inside data, so this is allow to property. So here when we give bird then date, so inside date it will pass the value size. So what is the size? So inside object they will return find the key with size name and corresponding value is printed. So that's why here small is printed. And after that, let us change the value of property and object. So you can see that object A has name key and value with Aniket. And after that B has A. And let's say change A dot name is equal to Jai. And after that we console B dot name. So it is also equal to Jai. Here console B. So you can see that when A dot name changed, then also B dot name changed, because here we pass reference. Here not copied the whole key and value, but here we pass the reference. Let's say A's address is 12x, and let's say we pass the B is equal to A. That means B denotes to 12x. So that means both objects are referred to the same. So that's why it will give the same key value. And after that let us comparing number, and let A is equal to 3. After that we create a new number 3. So now you can see that when we compare the numbers, so it will gives true, but when we compare to the strict number with triple equal to, then you can see that A denotes it will give false. Why? Because let's say use type of A and type of B. Now you can see that A is a number, but when we create with new keyword, so that will be denoted as a objects. So that's why number is does not equal to objects. There are different data types. So that's why it will give false. So after that, here the functions, inside functions we console h, and here function dot name is equal to Aniket. So when we call the function, so it will call hhh. Here in this function we pass the numbers and string. So when we concat number with string, so that result may be strings. So that's why it gives string. So let's say console type of A plus B. You can see that it will number and 2. So number is compared with string, number with concat with the string, so that's why it gives 12. So let us also comment this code and move further. So here let n is equal to 0, and after here we use post decrement. So here let's say console output. What is the output? Output is 0, and after operations perform plus plus, so that means n become 1. And here we use pre-increment, so that means the n is equal to 1 and pre-increment, so n is become to 2, and after we console the n, so you can predict the output. It will give 2 because at the first time it gives 0, and after post increment pre-increment, so pre-increment is 2. Here Here are the functions and type of what is the argument. So here we pass the 1. So now you can see that here 1 is numbers, but it will inside arguments, the type of argument is always objects. So that why, and also when we use rest parameter, so the function accept any number of arguments and store them in array like calls arguments. So here argument is array like objects. So let's say console array dot is array and here pass argument. So you can see that arguments is nothing but one type of array. So that's why it gives true value. And array is also objects. So that why it denotes objects. So in the last question, here we use eval keyword and compute the mathematical expression inside the strings. So what is give the output? Let us say when you can see that it will 90. So when we use eval keyword, so this allows to string as a JavaScript and execution it. In this case, 10 into 10 is equal to 100 and after that minus 10. So it will give 90. And let's say console type of n. So you can see that it will denote the number because when we use eval keyword allows to do mathematical expression computation inside string. You can see that. So here is the some another code output based questions so that are frequently asked by the interviewer. Till then, if you have some doubt or any questions that you could not understand, then let me know and ping inside the comment. I will help as soon as possible. So we will meet in next video.